Well, welcome to the studio. I'm working on a new piece today. This painting is another surprise gift, and this one is for a wedding present. It's for a couple who were married in California and went to Morro Bay for their honeymoon, and also to San Luis Obispo, which the locals call Slow. Jack and I lived very close to here, just on the outskirts of Morro Bay, several years ago, and oh my gosh, what an absolutely amazing area. And in Slow, they have the most incredible farmers market on Thursday nights. Oh my goodness gracious, I do miss that. The fresh strawberries and fresh fruits and vegetables were incredible. Anyway, back to painting. I begin with the sky. It's the most distant in the painting, and I always paint for it. Also, the sky is the source of light for the painting, so we want to establish the source of light before we start putting the light on all the subjects. The top upper part of the sky is darker, and I'm using a mixture of ultramarine blue plus white. As I come down, the sky gets warmer as it comes toward the horizon. Some of the light from the earth reflects back into the sky and warms it. Also, the ozone layer is thicker toward the horizon, so the light filters through a little differently, so it becomes warmer. And paint my entire sky in. I'm going to come back and add clouds, but first of all I want to get the blue sky in, and then we'll let the clouds float in. As we get nearer the horizon, the sky even gets lighter and a little bit warmer. And for that I'm using a mixture of phthalo blue plus white plus lemon yellow. And I come down and behind my Morro Rock. This just is an amazing rock. It just sits right out there in the bay. It's beautiful, and oh my goodness, on days when it's foggy and the fog rolls in, and it just, all you see is the top of that rock just hovering above the fog. It looks just very mystical. We could see it from the little place that we rented, and it was just fabulous. And my Molly is not a happy girl. It's over 100 degrees out, and she is a black cat, and it's just too hot for her to go out. And she's not very happy about that, so you may hear her whining in the background. She's a very vocal girl, and so she probably will voice her opinion about things. She's also my assistant artist from time to time. I've learned that when I have wet paintings, I have to have one room in the house that I just keep the door shut, because I've learned that if I don't, I will get little cat prints in my painting and a trail all throughout the house of multicolored little paw prints and on furniture, and just I could be able to tell exactly everywhere she's been. So I've learned I just put my wet art in the drying room, and we keep it kitty print free. Now I begin my clouds. This is a mixture of my mud, which is alizarin crimson plus ultramarine blue plus a little bit of white. Just bring those down toward the horizon. I have a little rock sticking up there, but I can come back in and paint that over. But that's the shadow part of my clouds. And I just paint them right over the blue, directly over the blue. This is called painting wet into wet. And that keeps the edges nice and soft, because I want the clouds to be soft. One of the rules in paintings to give the feeling of depth in a painting is that soft edges go back, hard edges come forward. So if you want something to appear to come forward in your canvas, you keep the edges really crisp and sharp. If you want something to go back, then you make those edges softer. But we get that sun just tipping these clouds. This is a mixture of white plus a little bit of cadmium red light plus a little bit of cadmium orange plus a little bit of my shadow color. And I just lightly drag that into my blue so that the edges stay nice and soft. I'm going to bring a little, I don't like that last little cloud I put in, so it's easy enough to erase that. In a sense, I just take some of my blue sky color and dragging it toward the clouds. I don't dig in with my brush, I just kind of drag over. I want those edges to remain soft, but I also want that to disappear. And still keep my transition here from the lighter blue to the darker blue. Now I'm going to make this cloud a little bit whiter. And if you noticed, I wipe my brush pretty continually as I paint. The secret to a nice, clean, crisp color on your canvas is a clean paintbrush. So I wipe my brush every two or three brush strokes. I'm going to make this just a little bit darker right there, so yeah, that's better. And then I'm going to bring a little bit of this redder color just back behind the rock there. Okay, there is our sky. Now I'm going to block in Morro Rock. These are mixes of, again, my mud, which is alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue, plus white, plus a little bit of cadmium orange. And I'm going to first put in my shadow pattern. I have my reference material. I've got pictures on my laptop, and I just put my laptop on the tabouret next to my easel where I can just see it to my right. And so I have that. I use bright brushes, and bright refers to the shape of the bristles. Actually, that's straighter. And it's a square brush. I prefer the sables as opposed to the bristle. The hog bristle they fight me. They lose hairs, and they just don't make nice brush strokes. So I prefer the sables or the synthetic brushes. And I like the bright or the square because I can use the flat side to make broad brush strokes, or mix a little white into this. I can use the edge to make smaller brush strokes and details. Again, this is my mix of, I've got mud, plus cadmium orange, plus ultramarine blue, plus white. See how I can use that corner to make my detail, make fairly small brush strokes. Now the top of this is in shadow up here. That rock has a very distinctive shape. Once you've been to this area, if you see that picture of that, you know that's Morro Bay. Now I'm going to make my horizon line of the ocean back here. This is a mixture of my mud plus ultramarine blue plus white. I'm going to put this, realize those rocks are going to come over it, so I need to get my horizon line in there. And I want to just soften that, so I take some of my cloud color. And this is a little trick that Jack taught me. You just put those two together. You don't want that a hard edge. You want it to be soft. So you make a little zigzag along the the horizon line. And then with a clean brush, it has to be clean. Clean and dry, no extra thinner in it, and clean. Then you just drag over that line. Do another pass on it. See how that softens that edge? And that just makes that go back. That just drops back then behind our rocks. And we have, then there's just another little rock right out there. Again, these are, that light's hitting this in a distinct pattern. But some of the sun hits right in here. Let that light be warm. So get the feeling of that sun really just warming that rock. And then I add some strokes of ultramarine blue plus white, because this adds some coolness and it makes those warms feel warmer. The blues are cooler colors, the oranges, the reds, the yellows are warmer. This is a little in shadow back here, just a little bit, not much. And there's dunes out here, so we're going to have dunes, and then I'm going to have the oceans coming in here and waves and all that. Now I'm using a little bit of my mud plus a little bit of liquid. And that's what I sketched the entire plan up on the canvas with, is a mixture of mud, which again is my alizarin crimson plus ultramarine blue plus liquid. That's a thinner that just makes it nice and thin, that makes a nice wash. And that's, any painting I do, I sketch up the initial plan first up on the canvas so that I'll have a map to follow. Don't know where you're going if you haven't planned where you want to go. Only Jack and Mickey start out on road trips not knowing where they're going. Just take the map and say, well, let's go there today. But even then, we'd have a map, and we always had a general plan of where we wanted to go. We'd just get sidetracked. Say, oh, well, let's take this road. It looks interesting. We found some neat places that way. Light hits down here just a little bit. Light's going to come a little further down right here. And there we are. Here's our Morro Rock walked in. I'll do a little refining, but I won't do much. This is pretty well in there. I want it to be soft so it goes back. In fact, one thing I'm going to do before we finish this is I'm just going to come back and soften the top edge of this just a little bit. Again, that softens that edge. It just makes that fall back into the distance. And I just take a clean brush, go along this edge. This is going to be just a little bit darker here. Now, I came over too far on that rock, so I can just pull the paint into that to get rid of that errant little brush stroke. And there we are. That's Morro Rock. Thank you for visiting my YouTube videos. I really appreciate you watching, and please subscribe to my channel. I also have a blog. The link is in the description below. The address to both my blog and my website is on the final frame of my video. You have a wonderful, wonderful day, and thank you again for visiting the studio.